If you polled people with disabilities on what superpower they'd choose, the power to enforce disability parking would be near the top of the list. Disability parking abuse is consistently a top accessibility obstacle, not only for people with disabilities, but also with employers. The City of Houston happens to have a program that does just that, empowering people with disabilities, seniors, veterans, family members, anybody, to protect the right of access. Maria Irshad, Assistant Director of Park Houston, which manages street parking, says it's important work they do in our community.
The city, via Houston Police Department and Park Houston, we both do enforce ADA parking. But here's the thing. ADA parking is literally in every strip shopping center, in every mall that you go to, in every building, every parking garage that you park in. There are ADA spaces. And we have, of course, limited resources. We can't be everywhere all the time. And so the volunteers really help with enforcing, like, when they go on they go on their weekly grocery trip, they can check out the surface lot for any ADA violations there. When they're out and about just doing their own, taking care of their own business, they can be, kind of eyes and boots on the ground to assist in enforcing these, because literally there are hundreds of thousands of ADA parking spaces. I've got 35 officers, and of course police, they do enforce, but HPD, I think you and I both agree, have other priorities that they need to be, focused on. So the volunteers help to, address that issue and help to ensure that those spaces remain open for folks who truly need it. A lot of times people just think, oh, I just need to run into the grocery store, grab some milk, I can park here real fast, and then it'll be 2 minutes. Folks generally tend to think it's not, such a bad thing, or it's not a crime, it's just 2 minutes, I'm just running in. My 2 minutes, what I think is just 2 minutes, and is not hurting anyone, is really making it impossible for them to get into the store.
Several cities have volunteer enforcement programs. Houston's, established in 1995, is one of the nation's largest.
We have trained more than 400, throughout the years. We hold, of course, in COVID, we didn't have as many volunteer trainings because it was a little different time, but now we're kind of going back to having a more routine schedule for training. So previously doing trainings at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. We have typically about 120 active volunteers. Tell you that it is a diverse group of people. We have folks who have disabilities themselves, so they have, a hugely personal stake in ensuring these spaces are open. We have volunteers who have a loved one who has some kind of disability, and they have a huge personal stake in it. And then we just have volunteers who, this is how they give back to the community. They have a problem with people parking in spaces without the appropriate credentials.
All right, can you explain their basic duties?
So we provide 4 hours of training to our volunteers, and we basically, give them the ins and outs of what to look for if they're, out one day at the grocery store and they see a vehicle that doesn't have a placard, or the placard might be expired. We teach them how to, read the expired tags, and we explain to them how to write the parking citation, how to take pictures. We talk to them about what to do if someone's sitting in the car. Always ask the person to move their vehicle. That's like the best way to start off. We don't want to just go and straight issue a citation. Give the person the opportunity to fix what's wrong. We talk a lot about safety with our volunteers, and really urge them to, walk away from a confrontational situation and, think of themselves first. Don't worry about the ticket. We do tell our volunteers, to keep, conversations to a minimum. If the customer is being unruly, then they should, call for backup or leave the scene. We don't want them to put themselves in harm's way to issue a citation. That is not at all what we want any of our volunteers to do. So it's really just a matter of, walking away from the scene when you need to, because there are going to be outbursts like that. It just happens.
In 2019, volunteers issued 9,800 citations. In 2020, they issued 8,400. That averages $8,000 to $9,000 a year at $500 each. With so many interactions, there have been rare confrontations. In 2019, 2 volunteers sustained minor injuries in separate incidents. In one, an 18-year-old Richmond woman was charged with assault for allegedly slapping a volunteer. Irshad said he continues on as a volunteer. Over the past year, we've seen that enforcing civil rights or the law at times isn't easy. For info on volunteer parking enforcement, go to houstontx.gov/parking. People on the street can also report ADA parking violations or any parking problem by dialing 311. For the People's News, this is John Moeller reporting.